Deborah Demare, and I'm a vegan interior designer, and I'm the creator of Certified Cruelty-Free, which is an online platform which is all about helping one grow their business by addressing the very strong, rapidly growing ethical consumer. So this is our first webinar, so I've got my cheat sheet. I hope you don't mind, and I hope it's one of many. We're going to be discussing lots of topics and bringing new news and interviews and tons of great stuff that really is collaborates with the course itself and with the trademark and with the platform. So please, if you can provide us with your email address, that would be great. And also, if you have any comments, please make sure to ask questions and put any comments that you have. And if there's anything that I can't answer, I'll get back to you, which is why having your email address is really great as well. So what is vegan design? This is, by the way, going to be really short webinars. They're going to be no more than 20 minutes because I know we're all super busy, and we thought that 20 minutes was a really good amount of time. So vegan design is really a space that's designed without any elements derived from any living being. So no creature had to suffer and be killed in order to create that product or item that is implemented into the space. So in other words, there's no down, there's no fur, there's no feathers, there's no leather, there's no silk, there's no wool, no horns, no tusks, nothing that comes from a living being. And that's what vegan cruelty-free design is, and that's how I've interpreted it as for my own company. So why is implementing vegan design so important? Well, there's many reasons. The first one is in order to grow your business, it's necessary because really if you don't get on the bandwagon now, you're going to be lost in the shuffle because it is the new vogue. We say vegan design really is the new black. Consumers are demanding it. Just look at car manufacturers such as Bentley, Mercedes, BMW, very high-end luxury cars. They now have vegan leather alternatives. You have fashion designers such as Giorgio Armani and Gucci now banning fur in all their new collections. That's huge. And the reason they're doing that is perhaps they are ethical, but most likely they're doing it because their consumers have been demanding it. Their customers are demanding compassionate alternatives, and they're responding to it, or else they're also going to get lost. 56% of Americans will not buy brands that they believe are unethical, which is huge because that number clearly has changed from 10 years ago. So that's another reason also that badges and trademarks are very, very important to display on your branding because you are letting your customer know that you are actually walking the walk and just not talking the talk, and that you're experienced, and that's what really sets you apart from the rest because it is the future. We saw that with organic food years ago, and now it's become mainstream. Well, the next transition in consumer purchasing is going to be towards fashion and design. I transitioned my business and personal life to a more ethical one after not being able to hide any longer about the reality of what we are doing to animals. That's what personally did it for me. I started seeing the videos of dog leather and all the atrocities that happen to animals in order to create a sofa or to create a feather pillow or a beautiful coat. And I just love animals. My family loves animals, and that's what really did it for me. And then the next step for me was then it transitioned into my business because I was looking at things saying, well, if I'm selling this leather sofa, what's the difference between that and a leather coat? So that's how I made the change for myself personally. 1 billion animals are killed yearly for the skins and fur industry. 1 billion. 150 animals become extinct every day. It takes 20 ducks being plucked alive to make one comforter. It takes 10 being plucked alive to make one pillow. It can take up to 60 chinchillas to make one long fur coat. 80% of the world's leather comes from China, and leather in China can be under the category of dogs, cats, cows, and anything really with a skin. 90% of tannery workers are the ones who tan the hides that come from China to India. 90% of them die before the age of 50 because the conditions are so toxic. So it's not only about saving animals, it's about saving humanity. And then that transcends into the planet, clearly the carbon footprint and the environment and the deforestation. So I just couldn't personally continue offering things made with animals it affected me so much then as it does now on a daily basis. But what was interesting was after I made that change, I realized also that this is really what's happening with consumer purchases. So even if I didn't care about animals, it was something that I think I would have had to do anyway because it's only going to grow, and compassionate consumers are very strong and they're very passionate and they're very demanding. So I needed to reach that audience, as I think most businesses are realizing now, because vegan is really, as we say, becoming the new black, and you're hearing more and more about vegan options, vegan clothing, and vegan companies. So let me see. Any questions? Any questions? Do you know whether Gucci is planning to remain animal-free for their new direct decor collection? That is a really good question. I know that Gucci, we just found out that they're going to stop producing anything made with fur for their clothing collection. I don't know about their decor collection, and I'll get back to you on that. Great question. I'll be in New York next week, and I actually have a meeting set up with someone at the Gucci offices, so that will be one of the questions. Thank you. I'll get back to you on that. So, how do you talk to your clients about vegan cruelty-free options, which is what we were going to discuss today? So I thought it would just be good to give an example. And one is that I had when I first began doing this transitioning. Now, just so you know, I transitioned my business 100%, which I don't recommend for a lot of people because it's a really big change, and it's like really starting a brand new business. But what you can do is start implementing it and offering it to your existing services, which I think is the way to go. So you're still maintaining your regular clientele, but now you're opening your doors to this new consumer base. So I had a client, just looking, so I had a client who, very high-end residence we were doing in Miami, and she only wanted leather. So of course I was showing her the vegan options because the high-end ones are just beautiful. And I was showing them to her, and she thought they were pretty, and she just was very avid on, nope, I want real leather. And so I looked at her and I gave her the price of this faux leather. This faux leather was just as expensive as a real hide. She looked at me, she waited, it seemed like an eternity, and she said, oh, that's great, so this is the good stuff. I said, yeah, this is the good stuff. We ordered tons of stuff, a lot of upholstered goods in faux fabrics. She was in heaven, and she was so excited because she was showing her friends her vegan this, her vegan that. You know, she was hip, she was chic, she was standing out from everyone. And you just learn so much from your customers because, you know, we have this stereotype in our minds that faux is cheap and it's junky. But the new fabrics and the new materials, the man-made ones and the natural ones that are now available are so fantastic. And they go from the very high end to the budget-minded. So it's interesting, you have to listen to your customers and you can't fight them. You just have to kind of understand what their needs are and then explain how you can still meet their needs while also saving the earth. So that was a really good learning experience for me, and I've had many. I just keep looking to see if there's any. Guys, please give me your email addresses, okay? So how to present vegan options. Well, always the side-by-side test, I say, is the best. You bring the real, you bring the faux, and you let them touch it, feel it, smell it, do whatever they need to do, because the faux one is long-term the best alternative. You scratch real leather, you see it. You see the scratch in it. You scratch a faux leather, you don't see it. It's more durable. You have kids, you have pets, you don't have to worry about spills, about scratch marks. If you have an office, heavy traffic, faux leather is amazing. You have endless colors, you have endless varieties, and you have endless patterns. So you have just as much as with the real leather. Chances are it will be less expensive. You have many lines, such as I present when I have my luxury projects to clients like this woman that I had in the past that I told you about, but there's all different price points. So I always like the side-by-side test. You can compare the price again, durability, health reasons. The majority of this country has allergies, so down really should not be an option even when you're designing a space. Even when you're doing window treatments, I will always choose to do a simple window treatment, especially if I know there's allergies in the home. So choosing fabrics that are faux, they don't hold the dust as real wool does, or real silk, or real velvet. So The faux options are much healthier. Again, down is probably the worst thing, sleeping on a down pillow if you suffer from allergies. So you have K-pop, you have rubber, you have so many different companies that are creating these fantastic man-made fibers to use as fill in replacement of the real down. So that's one reason. Also for people with sensory challenge population, you have people in the spectrum of autism who typically are very sensitive to touches and smells. So rough fabrics can be very hard for them. Just as, I like to explain, the tag on a shirt can bother us a little bit. Someone with sensory issues, it can actually hurt them and aggravate them their entire day. So imagine a scratchy wool rug for a child with autism. That could be very challenging. So instead, we can replace that with something like a tencel or banana silk, which looks fabulous, looks like silk, but is half the price and very soft to the touch and very easy to clean. And it also doesn't smell like wool. Wool has a gamey smell to it, and the man-made or the natural fabrics don't have those smells. So that's also another positive way to present it to clients. And of course, have credibility. We have an online course. We suggest taking that. It's very inexpensive. It's accredited because education is power. So when your clients do or your new customers have questions, you have the right answers for them. And the course teaches that. Getting a badge also, again, shows that you are experienced. It's showing that you're standing out from the rest, and it's giving you credibility. And that's super, super important. Of course, marketing and branding yourself. We can talk about that next time because I have no idea what time it is right now. How many minutes do we have left? About 5 minutes. So we'll be talking about branding yourself in another webinar. Do we have any questions? Where is the logo recognized? What do you mean recognized? Where's the logo recognized? What does that mean? I don't understand. La 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 la. No? Who sees the logo? Okay, who sees it? The logo it's a trademark logo, a certified cruelty-free logo. It's global. We have participants and licensees from all over the world on every continent pretty much at this point. And the logo, once you purchase the logo, it can be used on your product and all your social media and any collateral that you have. And once you get the logo, clearly you're part of our community. We have a very large, strong community. Our participants become members. So if you go to our site, you can actually become a member for free. And you have access to our resources, to our posts, to our blogs, to our interviews, to upcoming webinars, everything that's going on within our community. And I have to say what's been so awesome about all of this is that we now have groups that are forming in different countries. Participants and licensees are getting together and they're forming their own groups within their towns and within their states. And they're all collaborating, but they're collaborating in their own small areas, and then we all collaborate globally. So it's been fantastic, and it's a wonderful platform for help in growing your business and connecting with others and just answering questions that we have about our business, whether or not you're an interior designer or whether you have your own custom line that you're creating and you need help with that. So I don't know if that answered your question. I think that, especially cheap stuff. I think faux leather looks more like leather, especially cheap stuff. You're right. I agree. The faux leather lines, for example, we're big Cravat advocates. I'm just a big Cravat groupie. And Cravat faux leathers are just so phenomenal. And, you know, if you take the course, you're going to see about the new technology that's coming out. There's a company called Modern Meadow, and they're actually making cultured leathers. They're taking, they call it in vitro. They're taking the cells from a real cow, and they're growing hides of leather in their laboratories. And what they can do is, for designers, you can customize your leather in the future. So if you want a thin leather, they'll make it. You want a thicker leather, colors, patterns, any kind of, anything that you want, they can create. So it's pretty incredible. And yes, I do agree with you that with that comment that the faux are really just right up there with the real ones. Does the look of faux leather look authentic? Yes, it does. leather seems to be the big common question. It really does. And what's interesting is that we're researching now where I always love to learn about, the psychology of all of this. And there's an article that I just started reading about why we love the smell of real leather, why we connect it with luxury. And it's really just because of great advertising. Because if you really think about it, you're smelling a dead cow. So when you take the emotion out of it, you say, why do I like the smell of a dead cow? But it's because of all the great advertising over the years that, luxury means the smell of leather. So that's interesting. Guys, I think we are about almost done. Do we have any last minute questions? This was our first webinar. It's kind of fun. Nothing else? Where's the webinar? It's vegan option. Who sees it? Joined. Have you had a client who doesn't want vegan options? Yes. Also, the thing is for a designer, if your client is really, really adamant about not wanting vegan options, I mean that's really your call. You can buy the piece that is not vegan, and just hope that you can perhaps persuade them in the future instead of just saying no, 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 and losing them, because perhaps they could be a potential advocate for you, just like my client was. I'm so happy you're so proud to be accredited. That's great. That makes me super, super happy. Thank you guys so much, and please send us your email address, and please, we look forward to getting any comments from you, any feedback, and we'll let you know when the next webinar is. So have a great day or night wherever you're from. Bye-bye.